Mountaintop experiences. Have you ever had one? I know I have, both literal and figurative. And I can tell you, I really am fond of them, especially when they are mountaintop experiences related to my faith, when everything seems to be going right and I seem just connected to God in a way that I can't even fully explain, but I am at peace and I just want to stay there. But the reality is that in this world, we can't stay there. We have to come down from those mountaintop experiences. And in the scripture that was preached on Sunday, Pastor Bob and Pastor Brian talked about what is often called the transfiguration, an important, but I think sometimes often overlooked section of Jesus' life. And I think we all know about it. It's just that sometimes we don't know what to talk about when we look at this particular episode because it's mysterious. And the reality is that while we don't know where to focus sometimes, there's so much going on there that we can go a bunch of different ways with it. And I think that's important, and I think that's good. And what I want to do for my short time with you today is I want to focus on the idea that we often desire to be on those mountaintops with Jesus, with God. But God is calling us also into the valleys and everything else in between. Because as soon as Jesus is transforming, and the transfiguration is happening, Peter sees, in the Gospel of Luke, that's the scripture we used on Sunday, Peter sees what's happening. He sees Moses and Elijah, and then he says this to Jesus. He says, Master, it is good for us to be here. It's good for us to be here, right here in this spot. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. And then I love what it says here in parentheses in the scripture. In the Gospel of Luke, it says, he did not know what he was saying. He had no idea what he was saying. He was wrong. He wanted to harness that moment. He wanted to stay there and just live in that moment. And it's understandable because when you come down from the mountaintop, and you come down from that mountaintop experience, you find that sometimes you're walking around in the valleys, right? You're walking around in just the kind of in-between areas or the plateaus of life, whatever it may be. And when you experience God in that kind of unique way, you don't want to leave. You want to stay there. And one day, we will be in that mountaintop experience for all eternity, and all will be well. But in the meantime, we are here. And there are moments in life where we get to experience God in a mountaintop type way, and we want to stay there. But God is calling us as disciples to then take that and take it into the world. As Jesus said, as on earth as it is in heaven, right? In his great prayer, we want earth to look more and more like heaven. But you have to get off the mountaintop and you have to go into the world. In fact, Jesus is heading from this mountaintop experience into Jerusalem. He's on his way to the cross, and he will go to the deepest and darkest valley the world has ever known. All for us. But in the process, he will flip it upside down. And the darkest moment in history will become the moment that saves all of the world. The cross, a symbol of death and execution, will become a symbol of hope. But Jesus had to get off that mountaintop and had to go into that valley. And the same is true for each and every one of us. It's understandable when we want to stay on the mountaintop. It's understandable. But God is calling us to take those glimpses of heaven into the world and to show a world stuck in those plateaus and those valleys, that there's something greater out there that they could ever imagine. I love what it says next in the Gospel of Luke. In verse 34, it says, while he was speaking, talking about Peter, it said, a cloud appeared and covered them. And they were afraid as they entered the cloud. This is Peter and John. A voice came from the cloud saying, this is my son, talking about Jesus, whom I have chosen. Listen to him. Do what he says. Follow him. You followed him to this mountaintop. Now follow him into the valley. Don't get ahead of him and never lag behind. And the reality is this, is that wherever we go and whatever we do in this particular side of life, before we go on to eternity with Jesus, wherever we are, on the mountaintops or in the valleys, he is with us, no matter what. He is with us, sitting with us, comforting us, guiding us, strengthening us, sometimes humbling us, sometimes convicting us. But whatever it may be, he is with us. The mountaintop experiences are special. And as I said, one day we'll have them for all eternity. But right now, right now. It's okay. It's okay to be on those mountaintops for a moment. But Jesus doesn't want us to stay there. He wants us to come down. And he wants us to show the world what we experienced on that mountaintop. Hope you have a great Monday, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. God bless you.